So this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video in which we'll introduce directed numbers. So on your screen we have a number line. So we start at 0, we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've probably seen this before and know that this arrow means that numbers go on forever. There's no such thing as a highest number. So this part of the number line is something that wouldn't be new to you. These are all positive numbers. But it turns out that there are also numbers on the other side of 0. So here in Canberra, we frequently hear about these numbers during winter, when we're talking about like the temperature in the morning. They are negative numbers. So like 0 degrees Celsius is the freezing point of water, but sometimes the temperature's even colder than that. Sometimes the temperature is below 0. 0 is not the smallest number. There are infinitely many numbers that are less than 0. So if the temperature was 0 degrees, which is the freezing point of water, we can make it even colder. 1 degree colder is -1. And then we have -2. And then -3. These numbers over here are called negative numbers. So this symbol in front of these numbers is a negative sign. So this is -3 or -3. So this negative symbol is just a direction sign, hence the name directed numbers. -3 means it's 3 below 0. -2 means it's 2 below 0, and -1 means it's 1 below 0. So as opposed to this one, so this number 1 that you're familiar with, we could write it as +1. The plus symbol indicates that it is above 1. I could put a plus here, and that would indicate that 2 is 2 above 0. So plus indicates it's above 0, minus indicates it's below 0. We just usually don't write the pluses here. If you just see a number 3, you can assume it's +3 or 3 above 0, whereas -3 is 3 below 0. That's why they're called directed numbers. So you probably also know that as we go to the right, numbers are getting larger and larger. So 5, you know, is bigger than 4, 4 is bigger than 0, numbers to the right are larger. But -3 is to the left of 0. That means -3 is less than 0. It's under 0. But you know us mathematicians, we're pretty lazy. We don't want to keep writing the words larger and smaller. So what we've done is developed some mathematical symbols. So we have this symbol here. This points to the right, it means greater than. So this symbol for greater than is pointing to the right because as we go to the right, numbers are getting larger or greater. On the other hand, this symbol that points to the left means less than, because as we go to the left on our number line, then numbers are getting smaller. So what's happening as we go to the left, numbers are getting smaller and smaller. -3 is smaller than -2. The next number here, -4, that's even smaller than -3. If the temperature is -4, it's even colder than if it's -3. So we know that numbers go forever in this direction. The positive numbers just get larger and larger. But in this direction, as we're getting further away from 0 and going to the left, numbers go on forever, but they are getting smaller. So we have another arrow here to indicate the number line goes on forever. So there's no such thing as a largest number, there's no such thing as a smaller number. Numbers go forever and ever to the right and get larger and larger. They go forever and ever to the left and they get smaller and smaller. So these symbols here help us compare numbers, tell which number is larger. But for some reason, people always get them mixed up. So let's look at the numbers, say 3 and 2. So we know clearly that 3 is larger than 2. So the symbol we should put between them is this symbol here, the greater than symbol. A way to remember it is the crocodile eats the bigger number. Think of these symbols as a crocodile's mouth. So if this is the crocodile's mouth, it always wants to eat the bigger number because it's really hungry. So this statement here says 3 is greater than 2. You already knew that. But what about if I make these negative, -3 and -2? Well, -3 is to the left of -2. That means minus 3 is actually smaller than or less than minus 2. So once again, the crocodile wants to eat the bigger number. The bigger number here is minus 2. So we're going to put this symbol. So crocodile's mouth, it wants to eat the larger number. This statement says minus 3 is less than minus 2. So even though 3 is greater than 2, minus 3 is less than minus 2. So the greater than or less than relationship is sort of switched around when numbers become negative. And this makes sense, if the temperature was minus 3, it's colder than if it's minus 2. Minus 3 has a lot more warming up that's needed to do to get to 0. It needs to warm up more than to go from minus 2 to 0. That's why minus 3 is less than minus 2. Minus 3 is 3 below 0, but minus 2 is only 2 below 0. So just make sure you understand that the less than or greater than is switched around when we're talking negative numbers. So just so you know, you might come across these symbols too. This means greater than or equal to. This one's less than or equal to. That's what this little dash here means, or equal to. So we still have greater pointing to the right and less than pointing to the left. So for the last example, we're going to take these 4 numbers and arrange from smallest to largest. So negative numbers are always smaller than positive numbers. So minus 20 and minus 9, they would be the 2 smallest numbers here. So minus 20 is actually smaller than minus 9 because minus 20 needs more to get to 0. So minus 20 would be like over here, minus 9 here. So even though 20 is greater than 9, minus 20 would be less than minus 9. And then, of course, 0 would be the next number, and 15 would be the largest. So these are the numbers ordered from smallest to largest. So this number 0 is actually neither negative nor positive. But other than 0, all numbers are either positive, meaning they're above 0, or negative, that means they're less than 0. So numbers to the right on the number line are greater or larger than, so we use this symbol to indicate a number's greater or larger, and this symbol to indicate a number is less than. But the relationship is sort of reversed when we talk about negative numbers. So like 20 is greater than 9, but minus 20 is less than minus 9. 5 is greater than 1, but minus 5 is less than minus 1. Numbers never start and never stop. There's no smallest number, there's no largest number. Alright, thank you so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.